Hi there! In this video, I'm going to talk to you about impulse buying, which is a huge issue that so many people have trouble with. Impulse buying is a big problem and it can cost you up to hundreds of dollars per month, which you might not even be aware that you're spending because you don't even do it consciously. Over the course of a year, it's estimated that people impulse buy on average by $5,400, which is nuts because that is a crazy trip. I always measure everything in values of trips, which you know if you've seen all my videos. But imagine what you can do with that money if you're intentionally spending on it versus just spending on things that just happen to be nearby and you purchase without even noticing it. The definition of an impulse buy is a buy that you make that you weren't consciously deliberating beforehand and you just triggered to do. So walking through the mall, things like that, see something, you pick it up, that's an impulse buy. It happens all the time and it's so easy. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the different ways that I've avoided making impulse buys. I've tried so many different things, and so I'm going to walk through all of the different ones that I use in this, and make sure you watch all the way to the end because each of them helps in a little bit of a different way. So let's get to it. The first step you need to do is make a budget. And so this is really important because if you make a budget based on certain categories, you already have a cap on what your spending can be in different areas, which will absolutely help you to make sure that you're not just spending where you shouldn't be. This in particular is helpful for me in the areas of things like clothes and makeup or travel, because then I know on this little area I have X amount per month. I know it's an impulse buy if I'm going above it. And so that's the first step, and I'll link a video below on ways to create a budget if you're new to it. I love making videos about those. I have a lot of them on my channel, so if you don't already, you can subscribe and check them out. The second tip that I can give you is one that's helped me out a lot, which is waiting overnight before a purchase for anything that is over $100 and then waiting a week for anything that's over $200. And so the idea for this is that you wait to make sure that you really need something. You can even go more or a little bit more in depth than the $100 limit. I did do waiting overnight for anything that became a little bit too much for me, but it curbed everything. So I highly recommend trying that because if you really want something, you'll go back to the store and you'll get it if you absolutely need it. I'll also link a plugin that I absolutely love called Amazon Contemplate that you can hook onto Amazon because the one-click purchase on Amazon is an issue. So if you have that plugin, it'll pause and make sure that you have to wait a little bit of time before you can make a purchase on something. The next tip is to not chase sales. If something is on sale, it is not a deal if you did not need it originally. So unsubscribe to all the newsletters, get rid of all the messaging on sales, and if you see your favorite store has a sale, do not walk in. You don't need it. If you aren't looking for something ahead of time, it doesn't matter if it's on sale because you're always going to go in and you always buy more than you expect to, and it's never just one item. So that's a huge one to make sure you don't impulse buy, is to just stay away from sales and from marketing about them. The next tip I have for you is to make a list. And so this one's very helpful for me in particular for grocery stores, but it can also apply to your whole month. And so when I know I need something coming up, what I'll do is I'll make a list of all the things that I need to buy, and then I buy them all on the same day. Usually it's Sunday, so I'm off work and it's when I'm getting ready for the week, those are all the things that I'll purchase. If you do it that way, then you can also make sure that you are conscious about all the things that you need, and having that delay to just buying things on one day of the week with a particular list is super, super helpful. For the grocery store in particular, I always make a list for this because I've noticed that whenever I go to the grocery store, things just add on. I also live by Trader Joe's, which I did it for the longest time. So that is so easy to just add things. Of course, if you find something you really want to try, you can absolutely still buy it, but the list always helps me because I waste food every single week, and food that's wasted is not just waste, but it's also money that you lost that you didn't need to spend. My next tip for you is to stop making shopping a hobby. And what I mean by this is so many people, if they have any time off or they're just bored, they will just scroll onto Amazon, they'll go onto a site. I'm so guilty of this. I really like going onto eBay too because it's cheap, or like finding deals on Craigslist and things like that. Stop making all your time being spent on shopping, and if you're bored, don't open up shopping tabs. You can use a site blocker to block all the sites because then you're consciously aware of when you're doing it. And there's a site blocker I use that I'll link below as well, that where I block sites for certain periods of times. And so on the last tip, I talked about how I do all of my shopping on one day. I'll block all the sites If it's a shopping site, that's just something I know I won't need it. I block it for only one day of the month for me to look through things, so it kind of caps all the time that I'm browsing, because you're not going to impulse buy if you don't know about it. But it's super helpful just to make sure that if you're perusing, you're going to start to want things you didn't know you wanted, and then you impulse buy. So if you can cut it off on the step one, you're set. My last tip for you is to make a goal. And this one is so important because whenever you have a goal in mind, and this sounds really cliche and cheesy, but it's freaking true. Whenever you have a goal in mind of what you actually really want to be spending your money on, everything, then you can see the trade-off and the opportunity cost of it. It's really hard to see the trade-off of the opportunity cost of picking up a Gatorade, which I did earlier today from CVS, to add with a Kava order, which is something that I got. I could have like made things and gone to the grocery store. But whenever you have a goal in mind, and for me, I like to set a goal of doing like one staycation every single month, or going on a long-term trip larger trip every couple of months. Once you have that in mind, it's so much fun because you're racing towards that goal and you're trying to find ways to cut corners and to make things cheaper by like eating at home or going to cheaper places when you're out with friends, because you know that every dollar that you spend on this, which is something that you might not like as much, is $1 away from whatever matters most to you. And for me, that's international travel, but for you, that could be like a new camera that you really want, a course you wanted to buy, a really awesome outfit you wanted to get, or something bigger that you can splurge on for yourself. And so setting a goal makes a huge difference, and it also makes you happier overall. I really hope all of these tips were helpful for you. I love trying to find different ways to avoid impulse buying, just because, like I said, $5,400 per year is what people spend on average with that, which is just nuts to me. And so if you have any tips that I haven't talked about, please comment below. I love learning more about this, and I love sharing it with people I know and my friends. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe. I will always be posting new videos, and I'm always constantly finding ways to make things cheaper. So please subscribe, and I promise that I'll always be working hard to make sure I'm giving something that's valuable to you, so you don't have to spend all the time that I spend spinning my wheels and finding different tips. Also, feel free to follow me on Instagram if you want to see more of my day-to-day life, and hope you all have a great day.